So, did you know that infidelity is genetic? Believe it or not, it's true. Research has found that there's a genetic predisposition to infidelity. Certain studies, clinical studies, have found that people who have certain types of oxytocin and vasopressin receptor genes are more likely to be unfaithful. In fact, 40% of women and 62% of men with these genes have admitted being unfaithful in their relationships. And this kind of makes sense because these chemicals are associated with feelings of trust, love, and sexual bonding. Interesting.
You have had the frontal lobe of your brain removed and replaced with bubble wrap.
Maybe it's just me, but I don't think this sounds right. But I guess that's because I'm a human being with a brain that actually functions. The genetics argument sounds kind of stupid because it's just a cop-out. Saying that you're genetically predisposed to cheat makes about as much sense as saying that someone cheated on accident. But that's only if the man cheats. If a woman cheats, then she can give any excuse she wants under the sun. And the odds of her actually getting support, regardless of the reason, are significantly higher than a man. I mean, she could go out there and openly cheat on a man while admitting she did it to hurt this guy when he didn't even deserve it, and there will still be an army of NPCs who would be willing to dox this man for not taking her back. And I wish I was kidding when I say that. Now, I am not a man of the science, alright? But even I know that modern scientific studies need to be taken with about a dozen minds worth of salt, thanks to the biases that have seeped their way into every single government-funded lab from coast to coast. But it's interesting how whenever a man is involved, he seems to be the bigger bastard than the woman. Now that is very interesting.
Some other research shows us that there may be some genes that lead to a lower attachment to one's primary partner. So this tends to make a person more likely to stray if they have a different or defective or damaged attachment system. So interesting, right?
No, and I don't care.
No, that's really not all that interesting. I mean, if we take a look at the Fustercluck known as human pair bonding, there's more to it than that. I've said it a million times. The more sexual partners a woman has, the less likely she's going to be able to bond with a man on either a biological or even a psychological level. And that has little to do with genetics and everything to do with bunny hopping from bed to bed. A woman cannot respect a man if she's constantly comparing him to past trysts. And if there's no respect, then how the hell do you expect there to be an emotional bond? This is why purity has been valued across multiple cultures for thousands of years. But thanks to modern culture encouraging modern women to indulge in their emotional impulses and being as immature as humanly possible while chasing after men who are out of their league, it's left them broken and profoundly undesirable. And all it would have taken to keep this from happening would have been for society to just embrace the virtue of shame. But let's face it, that ship has long since sailed.
We tend to think that people only stray because they have a bad character. And if you follow me, you know I don't believe this at all. A lot of people think this, and I like to highlight some of the different reasons why people might stray, not as an excuse, but as an explanation.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
People cheat for really complicated reasons, and one of those is their genetics.
That lame excuse is not gonna work when you use it.
Well, that's where you got it wrong again, sister. According to the new societal norms, modern women get to cheat for complicated reasons. But when a man cheats, it's because he's a bedroom fun-crazed bastard who just wants to hurt as many women as humanly possible. But modern women have unlimited reasons that they consider justifiable. And it just plays into the massive walking contradiction that is the modern woman. She is a strong and independent boss bay yas queen who can't get ahead in life because the patriarchy won't let her make her own sandwich. They don't need no man for nothing, but they still demand a man to pay for everything. And even though Lizzo is beautiful, it is still considered an insult to say a woman looks like that whale. Now a woman is strong and can forge her own destiny whenever she wants, but she's also a slave to her genetic code, which is on par for the modern woman when you think about it.
We're on express elevator to hell, going down.
I just thought of the funniest thing. I've been working from, my social media, working for myself, multiple income streams for the past 3 years. And when I started all of these multiple income streams, working through my social media, working online, I was already in a relationship. I'd been dating the guy for about a year-ish, like maybe a little bit longer than a year. Okay, no, like a year and a half. And hear me out. Whenever me and this person first began seeing each other, I guess I wasn't like on social media all of the time, but I definitely was using Instagram at the time like a digital album or like scrapbook, you know, like posting pictures from travels, posting some pictures here and there with friends. Wasn't really posting on stories or anything like that though, had never gone live. After I started working from social media, it was almost like it was like a horrible, like cringe thing that I was working from my social media and would like talk on my stories, talk to my phone, take selfies, take pictures of food, you know, all of that kind of stuff. That is actually really normal stuff that everyone does. But anyways.
What is that smell?
So here's a funny story for you. I was hanging out with a couple of intergalactic space dock workers and we were making our own sandwiches and came up with a mathematical formula to use the science to determine the relative ratio of bull hockey to truth when it comes out of a modern woman's mouth. Now, we all agreed that for every statement that can be remotely determined is true, there is a minimum of 85% that the next serving of word salad is going to be a massive load of bull hockey. Now, granted, 85% is a generously low estimate, especially in this case because the amount of bull this broad is hocking is off the frickin' charts. This chick clearly put social media first and foremost in her life to the point where she was becoming a complete and total pain in the balls. And she was ignoring her man in exchange for all of the attention she was getting online. He voiced his concerns and she took offense. So I think the bull hockey variable in this case is gonna need to be tweaked up to 95%. What do you guys think?
It was almost like I was made to feel bad for doing it by my partner. My partner never posted a picture of me on social media ever in like the 4 years that we were together, which was a red flag in itself, and I could go on about that for days. But like, he always like threw social media back in my face. And social media was such a huge part of my life and still is, but at the time I was like, oh, like I guess like I'm being selfish because he was gaslighting me into thinking that I was being selfish because I was working from my social media full time, but he would never take photos of me and he was always complaining and it was just a lot. Not to mention on top of all of that, never posting photos of me himself on his social media, which was because he was talking to other girls through social media. But anyways, that's another story too.
What's that, shit? It's a shit smell. Is that you? Smells like poo-poo.
Oh, God. Woman, do you have any breath mints or something? Because I can smell the bull hockey emanating from your breath so much that it's permeating through my view screen. This relationship of yours was already hell for this guy because you're calling him your partner, which means you did not respect him at all. And you were clearly chatting with other men as part of your quote-unquote social media job, and I doubt he was talking to other women, because if he was, that would have been the thing you mentioned 90 times in 2 sentences, and not the fact that he never posted your photo on the Facebook page he never used. You made that poor bastard's life a living hell for over a year, and then you have the nerve to turn around and blame him for your terrible behavior. That's what this is about. I mean, seriously, lady, can you please just go brush your teeth or something? I mean, for all of our sakes. Your stench is making us sick.
Long story short, he would never take pictures of me, and I felt like he made me feel like what I was doing wasn't normal or was cringe, to the point where I felt insecure doing anything for my businesses in front of him or around him. I felt like I had to like run away or sneak away to do anything, and I was always terrified to like ask him to help me with something for my social media, taking a photo, looking at a video, editing like copy, you know, stuff like that. Like, what was I thinking? But the reason that I got on here to say something is because the men that I date now ask to take photos of me. They have no problem for me working from Instagram. And it just validates further for me how insecure my ex was that he couldn't let me be the best version of myself.
So in other words, you ask men to take your selfies and they indulge in your little narcissistic fantasies because it means they'll get to bone you later. It's interesting how you're bragging about how you're dating multiple men instead of having something serious with one man. But I guess that's to be expected. You base your value purely on the attention you get on social media, which in turn overinflates your ego, which leads to you walking around while reeking like a pig farm run by an irresponsible farmer in the middle of July. There's no easy way to tell this to you, sister, but you're a failure. You've completely and utterly failed at life. You chose social media, which isn't even physically real or even a tangible thing. And you chose that over a stable relationship with an actual human being who cared about you enough to voice his concern about your crippling addictions. Now you live alone, with nobody to care for you, and you brag as if getting 2 dates a year from Chad is somehow a flex, which is fine, I guess. It's your life to waste, and I couldn't really care less what you do with it. But will you please just do your laundry already? The smell of bull hockey is too awful to ignore.
No one makes friends with a failure. Okay? You understand?
I started the egg freezing process.
Mildred! Hey, Mildred! Mildred, wait up!
I did some preliminary tests which showed that my egg count is really low. And I know a lot of women struggle with it. I had a ovarian surgery last January, and I knew that I have endometriosis and had like a giant cyst on my ovary, and the doctors told me that
I feel shocked.
Well, hello there, Mildred. Now, I'm not the kind of man who usually says I told you so, and I'm gonna try my hardest not to bother on this one because, well, alright, I gotta respect myself. There's low-hanging fruit, and then there is you, Mildred. Now, I have no idea if you're trolling for social media or if you are being legitimate, and personally, I couldn't care less either way. The messages you've been telling women everywhere for the last decade has finally come back to bite you in your artificially induced butt. Now, Mildred, you openly bragged about living this boss bae Yas Queen lifestyle and bragging about how your 20s are meant for fun times and acting like you have a biology degree because 98% of your body is chemically processed. But come on, Mildred, can you really be all that surprised? You're about one TikTok post away from being completely barren. It's a little late to be acting shocked that you wasted most of your life, now isn't it?
the doctors did tell me that might affect my fertility, but we didn't even start like the actual egg freezing, so it still might be that my eggs are high quality, but there's just not a lot of them. It's just so sad.
Remember, your biological clock is ticking.
Oh, Mildred, if you're looking for pity, then you are failing miserably. What you're saying is not sad. If the doctor said that your condition would affect your fertility, then why did you wait so long before even considering anything in regards to having a child? Instead of trying even harder to conceive a baby, you waited until literally the last minute to do an expensive medical procedure with a notoriously high failure rate. You'd think if you actually wanted to have a baby, you'd try to actually have one instead of focusing on a vain and empty lifestyle. But you chose TikTok fame and bragging about owning a coffee machine while shitting all over average men. You didn't take your fertility warnings seriously when the doctor first told you about them, and that's because you didn't care then. You don't believe me? Well, I got plenty of videos that you still have posted on your stupid page that prove otherwise, Mildred. It's a little late to be asking for sympathy now, and it sucks to be you. I'm fresh out.
I've been like crying the entire day. And you know, people say like, oh, you're not alone, this happens to so many women, but I mean, it feels very alone, lonely. I don't know. Like I just feel this giant pain in my stomach right now. How's your day going?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Well, my day's going great, Mildred. Thanks for asking. Because I live alone and have no wife, I spent most of my day just being productive. Got my sheets washed, had some time to play with Gunnery Sergeant Thunderbolt K9 Space Marine. I even had time to apprehend a couple of intergalactic space tax cheats as well. All in all, a pretty good day. Wish I could say the same for you, Mildred, but I can't. You brought all of this on yourself, sister. But allow me to illuminate this for you, darling. That pain you're feeling in your stomach isn't pain, it's emptiness. Your body is telling you that you done screwed up and wasted what precious little time you had on this earth to do what women have been biologically inclined to do for generations. It's that feeling of knowing that your family bloodline, for better or worse, has been cut off. It's the feeling that you have no legacy or any real purpose in life anymore. And all of this could have been avoided if you just did what humans have been doing for literally thousands of years. But I guess that's a little too advanced for you, isn't it, Mildred? Men all over the world have been fighting the urge to say this, but unfortunately, I must succumb to my weakness in this regard. You have no right to be upset, Mildred. We all freaking told you so. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button. Ring the notification bell, maybe leave a couple of comments, and share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm.